Okay, dear, very good morning, and I am Dr. Praveen Kumar Kaushik. Heartily and proudly welcome our international industry expert, Mr. Akshay Gupta, developer from T-Mobile, USA. He had rich experience from Qualcomm and TCS, rapid industry also. I also welcome all the participants in this industrial exposure for engineering students. Dear Akshay, I hand over the sessions to you and I request you to aware all the participants through the real life work situation in an industry. So, Akshay, please.
Hello everyone. This is Akshay Gupta. So basically, I'm a graduate from G Institute of Engineering and Technology. If you guys know, I mean it's in Jeend, Haryana, and Praveen Kaushik were one of my lecturers at that time. So that's how I know him. So I mean it's very nice of him to like reach out to me and asking me to share my experience, what I've been doing in last 10 years. So let me just share my screen. Just give me a second. I'm not able to share my screen, sir.
Okay. Now, Akshay, please try again. I think there is some.
Okay.
Yes. Now your screen is.
Yes. Okay. All right. Yeah. So, is everyone able to see my screen? Can you verify, sir?
Yes, Akshay. Your screen is visible.
Okay. Yeah. So, before I start, I just wanted to mention this. I mean, please let me know if you have any questions. I don't want to make this like a monotonous session where you get bored, and so I want to make it interactive. So stop me anywhere that you want me to, and ask more real questions. I would just spend one hour with you. I can just come and share a couple of screens, and you might not get anything out of it. So I basically want you to gain something out of my experience. That is my idea. So for that, keep it interactive. Just post your questions to Praveen sir, and he'll ask those questions to me, and I would be more than happy to help, because I know that I've been so through a ride where I still think that if I would have a mentor at one point of time, my journey would have been different. So so I really want to help in whatever way I can. So. Minimize this. All right. So basically, Praveen sir wanted me to talk more about international industry experience. To start with, I would say there's no big difference in working in international industry or domestic industry. I would say Indian industry is right now a global industry. Whatever companies that we have in India or the working companies that I'm working in USA, I think they are all multinational companies. We see all these companies everywhere. So the cultural wise, I think it's more or less same. But yeah, there would be a difference here and there, which I would like to highlight. So since you guys are graduating in telecommunication and electronics, so I don't have any electronics experience. I'm basically a software developer, which is I've basically worked in last 10 years. But I've worked in telecom industry. Again, my skill set was software development, but I was working in these industries, so I was able to utilize my skill set for telecom industry, which I want to share with you. So the big industry which I got a chance to work for were Qualcomm in the beginning of my career, and then COMCAST, and then right now I'm working for T-Mobile. So I think that you already know these companies Qualcomm. I think everybody know about this company. Is a company which has given CDMA to everyone. So CDMA, is core division multiple access technology, and based upon like the CDMA, we have like now reached out to like 5G technologies where we are like talking about like high speed and high data and like huge infrastructure. So we're like so this was the base of all this like telecom industry. So for back 20 years back, I mean, there were only GSM and CDMA. So CDMA was like proprietary to Qualcomm, and they still have like 1,200 patents which are registered in their name, which are related to CDMA. So it's huge company. Apart from like CDMA, like one more thing that Qualcomm product is very famous throughout the world, which is I think which is like used by every one of us. Like for most of the phones that we use, the smartphones that we use, we basically use the chipset called Qualcomm Snapdragon, which is the most popular chipset in all the handsets these days. So again, which is like manufactured by Qualcomm, and it's one of their like highest selling products. So yeah, my experience in working in Qualcomm was basically in software development. But what I was working on, in LTE technology at that time. So my job was to basically like do development for LTE test cases. So there was like at that time when I joined the company, they had this new era of LTE coming up, because I think at that time we were still like in 3G era, and we were like moving on to 4G. So like when we actually like moved on to 4G, we introduced LTE and all that stuff, right? So at that time they were transitioning from 3G to 4G. So during that period of time, I was working for Qualcomm, and we had this new technology coming in, which no one knew much about. So I was able to like work on that technology. I was able to like automate all the development test cases for that technology. So at that, I get to like work on CDMA, EVDO, and LTE during that period of time. And so basically, like what you actually like learn when you like work in the product based company directly, or like if you're working in a service based company like TCS or Infosys or Wipro, then you're basically like working for all these clients which you can see on the screen right now. So all these clients, when you like work remotely, you don't actually like get the idea of like what the product is, So that's the biggest thing. I mean, when you like work for all these like multinational companies, you get to know like how the product is developed. I mean, what's the vision behind the product. So just because like working in a big team where you have like 500 people and working as a small working in a small module, if you're an RF engineer or a developer, doesn't matter, but you're still working on a small portion of that, so you won't know the bigger picture, right? So to be able to understand like the bigger picture, like so like from the business perspective, this is what I'm developing. So this is how it's impacting the consumer. So that is really important, and that's like one of the biggest learning that you get from these international companies when you work here. So apart from that, working in Qualcomm like also like taught me like a couple other things which I want to like cover in the next slide. Where we had to like interact with the customer and think about the customer satisfaction and what we are developing. So all that stuff. But this was like definitely a good experience in the beginning of my career working for Qualcomm. So I was initially like working through TCS back in India. So and then I was like working on site in Hyderabad for some time, and then I moved to United States of America, where I was working directly with their company in San Diego. So this was like I think I worked for Qualcomm for like 2 or 3 years, in which like initially I was with TCS, and then I was like working directly with Qualcomm, and then basically I moved to the next company, which was COMCAST. So COMCAST, I'm not sure that a lot of guys know what company COMCAST is, but if I throw a few words here, I mean I think you would know. So if I say CNBC, do you know CNBC? If I say Sky Sports, do you know like Sky? Sky is one of the biggest broadcasting channel in UK and most part of the Europe. And then third is I would say Universal Studios. So I'm sure that you guys watch a lot of Hollywood movies, right? So a lot of movies are produced by this production house called Universal Studios. You can see in the beginning of the movie, you can see Universal. Everything All these companies are basically divisions of Comcast. So Comcast is the father of all these companies. So Comcast is a huge cable company in America, which has like business all over the world. And working directly for them was a huge experience for me, because I was actually like working with the real data. So at that time I was transitioning to like data analytics and working as a Python developer. So where I was like playing with data, like doing a lot of data development in Python. So like working with real data, you basically like get to see like how much data they monitor every day. So like if you make a single call, so like every call logs tons of data, and you have like you have a lot of ingress and outgress data every day that you have to store, and then you have to like visualize. I mean, today the world is all about data visualization. Why that is important? Because like based upon the data that these companies like get from you, like your interaction with the product, they basically like visualize that data and then use that data to build their next product, or improve the existing product. So basically like it's highly helpful in marketing, in sales. So like data visualization, data analysis is one of the key factors which is required by all the companies, all the industries, like not just telecom. I'm talking in general, like for all the industries. So that's what I was working for them in Comcast. And then actually, I also like worked for like one bank in a banking domain, in an absolutely different domain. I didn't mention that company in this slide, because I would just want to focus more on the telecom experience. So I worked for the bank for like 3 to 4 years, because I wanted to like explore the world outside telecom. So that's why I wanted to like gain some banking experience. But I think I didn't stay there forever. I worked for them like for 4 years, and now this year, the beginning of this year, I joined this new company called T-Mobile. T-Mobile is one of the biggest service provider in America. I think right now it's ranked second in America. So it's the biggest providers in India are Airtel, Vodafone, and Jio, right? So just consider T-Mobile just like that. So like the biggest providers here are basically AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, and Sprint. So Sprint is now the part of T-Mobile. So I won't say like Sprint separately. So AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile. I think that's it. I think these three are the biggest carriers like which are providing telecom service to all the retail customers throughout America. So it has one of the biggest market share right now, and they recently introduced 5G technology. So again, I'm working on like 5G and LTE for T-Mobile. So this is basically like my experience. I'm not like specifically sure like what would help you. If I share a particular information. So as I mentioned, like please ask me questions. That will make this session more interactive, more fruitful for everyone. So don't hesitate to ask questions. So I'll move to the next slide now. Apart from like what basically I learned from like working in these companies abroad, like working for Qualcomm, COMCAST, T-Mobile. So I think I already like introduced all these companies to you. But now, like what basically you should be, if you get an opportunity like to work for a company abroad, or even if you're working for a company in India, like what factors you should be focusing. I know this presentation is more about like focusing on the international experience, but I'll just keep it general, because I don't think there's a huge difference working outside or internally. But a lot of things that you learn abroad, you can implement that in any job, and you'll see the results for sure. You'll stand out in your team or in your company. So the key factors to focus is the first of all is end-to-end product knowledge. If you're working on a product, and you'll always be working on a product or a service. That's what we do. We basically provide service. If you're working for a consultancy company, or you're working on a product, if you're working for a product-based company. So when you're working on a product, you might be like working only on like a fraction of that product, like doing some testing, maybe some development, maybe we're working as an RF engineer, or maybe working as a business analyst, or like there are 100 different jobs that can that are involved in development of a product. But understanding of a product, like end to end, like how this architecture looks like. What is actually happening, like from gathering the customer requirement, till the implementation and the, like and pushing that in production, like, do I have that knowledge? I mean, that really matters when you speak about it. You'll have meetings every day, right? So when you have meetings, I mean, you would like to like talk about your area of skill set, but and what you're working on. Having an end-to-end knowledge will basically like provide you more insight and understanding of like what you're working on, and then you can focus on that and on that particular piece of skill set, and then provide and just deliver better results. So that is like that is a very important aspect. Again, I mean, you won't get this information directly in all the companies. If you're working for like company in India, working for a consultancy company, and then you wanna provide, then you have an interest of like getting the deeper knowledge of what you're working on. I mean, you might not have all the documentations, right? Because I mean, you're not working directly with the client, especially in the initial stages when you're a fresher or you are a junior developer. You won't have like a lot of interaction with the client. But again, you can ask these questions. You can ask these questions from your manager. Okay, I mean, can I get a product documentation? Can I get the architecture? And then spend some time on it. Ask questions. Like, try to get the knowledge which will really stand like put you apart from the crowd. So, and which is like really important if you want to like grow in a company or in your career in general, So I would say like the end-to-end product knowledge is one of the biggest thing which I basically learned after I moved abroad. When I was working back in India, no one told me like how important is that. That's why I'm like everyone, I was just working on my skill set, my area of expertise, but I didn't know much about apart from like what I was working on, and which like really restricts your growth. But I was lucky enough to like move to a different country, and then I basically got this this knowledge, and which really helped me, and that's why I've put this point here basically, because I really want you to start utilizing this information, this approach towards your work in the beginning of your career, because like at the later stages everybody will learn their own way, but if you learn all these things like earlier, I mean, obviously that would help, right? So second is, I mean, technology which can make difference in becoming a global brand. I basically have a question for you, because I mean, I think now this session is becoming a bit monotonous. I really want like some input from you guys. So like, tell me a company that you want to be a part of. Like, do you admire? You think that, I mean, that company has like made huge development in recent times. I mean, which company do you think, I mean, has done like tremendous growth in last 10 years or last 15 years? Like, which company do you admire the most? I mean, I would like to know. What company name is that, and why? I mean, like, just one line, like, which company and why? Praveen sir, if you can get that answer, like, from the students.
Yes, Akshay. Some participants said that this is the if we go for the development, then the Qualcomm is the part of it, and as per the market share, the Reliance Jio will focus as per the telecom industries.
What is the question? So okay, so you want to be a part of Qualcomm or Reliance Jio? Okay, yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great answer. Especially, I would admire you answer Reliance Jio part, because like Reliance Jio was not even a name like 5 years ago. Like, it was non-existent. Now it's one of the biggest service provider in India, beating Airtel and Vodafone, right? So I mean, in very less amount of time, I mean, the company has made huge growth. I mean, they had the brand name, obviously, when they were Reliance. I mean, so they already had the visibility. But again, if you're launching a new product, there's always a certain amount of risk. But I mean, they outshined. They were able to get the market share. They were able to like beat their competitors. And now, like, every one of us, like, we all use, most of us like use Reliance Jio, including me, right? So that is absolutely a great company that you that has put me in awe of like their success. So what is the difference? Like, what makes these companies stand out again in the competition? So I think like in today's world, apart from like the idea or the product that you're developing, I think it's the technology. So even if you're not a IT developer, even if you're not working in software industry, I mean every one of us is using a technology today. We are interacting through Zoom meeting today. It's technology, right? So anything, everybody is surrounded by technology. So the idea is like to use the right technology and to basically like be technology oriented is basically like what makes the whole difference. So if I'm basically like working in data analysis or in data visualization, so what products am I using? So what technology products am I using for data extraction? What I'm using for data modeling? What I'm using for data visualizations? All this. So basically, like all these technologies and how am I interacting with my teammates? I mean, what project management tools am I using? So everything, all these tools basically like make that difference, which basically separates other industries from the global brands. I appreciate you answering Reliance Jio. I wanna like mention one company which I admire a lot, which is Amazon. So Amazon started as an e-commerce company. It was basically a bookseller online. It was a bookseller online. Now Amazon is not an e-commerce company. It's basically an IT company. It's just basically providing a platform to all the users to be able to like buy and sell. But they don't own a lot of they're not selling, and they're developing products which are all IT based, and they're providing a platform which is again technology. So the Amazon is a technology company, and the success they've seen in last 10-15 years is tremendous. I mean, now they basically stand in the league of Google, Apple, Microsoft. I mean, they're all these companies which are the top 5 companies. You know the FANG acronym: Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. So the top 5 companies, and people talk about, and on top of that, we also have Microsoft. So now they basically are the part of FANG companies. So it's a big achievement. Every software developer want to be a part of these companies, right? So, or not just a developer, like any professional want to be a part of these companies. So they have made that huge development. Again, the which basically like was the difference for them was the technology they were using. I mean, they basically built their own cloud infrastructure because they're a company of e-commerce. So like they have billions of users around the world, right? I mean, which are interacting with the app every day and buying and selling. So can you imagine like what sort of data would they have to handle? Data they would have, it would be like millions of terabytes of data they collect every day. With every interaction that you do with the interface, every user, every session, all these logs which are collected, they have a huge data which they have to work upon to function, and also for their data analysis. So their biggest challenge was data and data storage. So what they did, they instead of, I mean, initially I'm sure they must be using like some sort of like technology. Now they've built their own cloud service, which is AWS. And AWS is one of the biggest product in the market today, like for cloud. Everyone is basically like, I mean, apart from Microsoft Azure and Google Cloud, this is one of the biggest product, and has the highest market share right now. So what stood out for them? The technology, definitely the technology which they use, which they developed. And it's not just about like investing money and buying some product. It's also about like developing those. Moving on to the next point is basically the customer orientation. Whenever you like develop something, you have to like focus upon like what your customer needs. So don't think like a developer. Don't think like a RF engineer. Never think like an individual. Always think like a business associate. Like somebody who is running the business. So they always think about like that. Okay, I mean, if I have this product and I wanna sell this, what shall I do? I mean, how shall I approach? That's it. That this is called customer orientation. So every step that you take in your development. I mean, I'm talking more about development because I'm a software developer. So like you have to basically like develop as per the needs of the customer, and you have to like always be cautious about that, because at the end they are the ones who are using that. So they should be satisfied and actually like more than satisfied. So always like deliver, keeping in mind like what the customer needs. So Customer orientation and customer satisfaction, I would say, is one of the biggest key, which every interviewer in the world wants to hear. If you're interviewing for any of these companies, and they basically want us listen, hear those words from you. They want to hear this attitude from their from the person they're interviewing. So basically, they want their employees to be customer oriented. They want their employee to be have an attitude of developing, keeping customer requirements in the mind. So okay, yeah. So I mean, like, this customer orientation and customer satisfaction is absolutely like, I mean, being at your level, like you're still graduating, you're still working. I'm sure. What year are they in, Praveen sir?
Yes, dear. Yes, please.
Like which year are they? Which semester are they in?
They are second year, third year. As per
Second year, third year. Okay.
Yeah, sir. We have one
Yeah.
question more.
So still,
We have one question from one participant, that what are the skill required for engineering graduate for being part of Qualcomm as well as T-Mobile?
okay. So like for being part of like Qualcomm and T-Mobile, you can even have like skill like project management. I mean, all these companies hire all type of people. Like, first of all, you have to like decide like what you want to be. Actually, that's why, I mean, because I mean, I had this thing in mind that we would be like talking about like career planning. So I have especially a slide for that, and I want to talk about that. Especially that's the last slide I want to talk about, like career planning. But how shall you approach your career? Like what to basically what to work on, like to be the part of like some industry, like you mentioned, like you want to be a part of Qualcomm or T-Mobile. Like what should you have? But if you're talking like generally in for telecommunication, if you want to be an RF engineer, definitely, I mean, you should have a very strong understanding of core concepts of telecom. So like what Praveen sir teaches you, I'm sure, like the core, like whenever you work on some skill set, I mean, all these things that you're learning in college, I mean, it might seem to be like ridicule at this point of time, because like at that time, we when I was graduating, we also like used to like study because we want to like clear an exam and then move to the next semester and then basically graduate and then find a job, basically earn money, right? That's the whole idea. That's the whole process that every one of us follow. But that's okay, and that's okay. Like basically, like to work approach in this manner. But like during this process, make sure that you're basically understanding like what you're learning, because at the end of the day, you get 60%, 50%, 70%, 80% from your degree. It won't matter. What will matter is this, like is your brain, like how much you took in through 4 years of your degree. So when you're like talking in an interview, well, what will actually matter is basically like how much you basically like took it throughout your degree. I mean, I'm not saying that just like graduated at 50%, you still need like a minimum threshold to be able to interview for some companies. Try to do your best. I'm not like saying like don't focus on like marks. I'm definitely like try to get the best marks, but just focus on like what you have been like people are teaching you. I mean, if you're talking about telecom industry, when I talk about CDMA, you should actually know what CDMA is. Like understand like what this technology is. Like you should be able to visualize in real time. Okay, like what phone am I using right now? What technology is my phone using? What is LTE? Why I am connected to LTE? Why we are moving to 5G? What is VoLTE? You should be able to like visualize like what you're studying, and I think that's the most important thing, like working on the core skill set. So if you want to be a telecom engineer, you should know your telecom basics. Definitely your telecom basics. So it could be like your code, like CDMA technology, GSM technology, and especially like in today's era, you should know LTE. You should absolutely like focus on like these technologies, the architecture. But but just don't start like from the biggest part, but the biggest part of these technologies. Like don't just start from LTE architecture, or don't directly jump onto these technologies. Start with the basic. Even if you know the basics, just like make sure you actually like understand like what you're talking about. If I ask like what is a wavelength, I mean you should be able to answer that question with an understanding, not just a bookish textbook definition. What is a frequency? Like how do we define different modulations? Like what's QAM and QPSK? Like all these technologies, you should be able to understand, visualize. be curious, have questions, and try to understand. If you have that understanding, nobody can take the understanding from you. So when you're talking in an interview, like 2 years from now or 1 year from now, after you graduate, you would actually know that what you're talking about. Like when you like talk bookish language, it sounds. I mean, like the other person would know that you basically know the definition, but you don't understand it. So try to understand. Try to basically strengthen your basics. So if you want to like go in RF engineering, strengthen your basics. You will definitely not just like crack Qualcomm. You can crack any telecom companies out there. I mean, if you have knowledge of the basics, and especially at your level, nobody's asking you like, okay, like design me an LTE architecture. Nobody's asking you that. Your questions will be basic. They will just Google the biggest company. Very hard to crack. Very hard to crack that interview. But do you know what they ask? Like all these big companies for software developers, they basically ask data structures and algorithms, which is being taught in colleges in second or third year. So that's what they ask. They don't ask all these big things. So don't be overwhelmed by something which that they might ask you like big questions. They won't. They will just test your basic understanding of the technology, of the skill set that you're applying for. So I would say just focus on core skill set that you want to work on. So again, just to highlight my point, if you want to like apply as an RF engineer or like work in telecom industry, especially in like telecom domain, you should know all these technologies, understand all these technologies, the basic of like all these technologies, how they work, and how they operate. Modulation, everything. So you should basically understand this, like more than just like knowing the definition of it. And then if you want to like be a software developer, I know you guys are from electronics and telecommunication industry, stream, and that's what I graduated in. I did my engineering in electronics and telecommunication, but I always wanted to be a software developer. So that's why I started like learning Java between my degree. I was like taking all these courses. And so if you're like me, if you wanna be move to like software industry like from telecom, and that's okay, because like you still be working for these companies, but you're just like working in a different skill set and using but working for this domain. So you're basically utilizing both development as well as telecom experience. So if you wanna be a software developer, focus on the core of programming. Pick one language, pick one programming language that you want to work on, and then master it. Just master it. I mean, if you know the programming basics, if you understand that language, if you know how to program, you can work in any technologies out there. So just basically like know your basic skill set, and this will help you not just in your first job, even in your fifth job, in your 10th job, even in your 15th job. I interview for companies today. I still get these questions like data structure and algorithm. One of the interviews which I gave last year, they basically what they asked me. I have 9 years of experience. They were like, "Akshay, can you write me a sorting program? Can you write me a sorting program?" So yeah. So you should know. I mean, how can I sort an array? What are different ways of sorting an array? What's the difference? What's the time complexity and all that? So basics. Core skill set. Next is basically the documentation. So always documentation can be irritating if your manager comes to you, oh, can you document like what you're working on? But it's really important for other people to be able to understand what you're working on, and it just maintains good practice of software development or like working in RF engineering. You basically documenting everything is basically helpful for everyone, and it saves time. Everything which is well documented lasts for longer time, But because people come and go. If you like don't document things, it will be a hassle for everyone. So it's not just like for other people. I think it's important for you also to be able to like gain from some other documentation. So always make sure that you focus on documentation if required. Always document whatever you're working on, and that's really important. One more thing which I learned after coming here, back in India, I was working as a team member, and I was like doing the task which was given by my manager, but that's not how you should approach things. in real life. So you should be you should always take ownership of like what you're doing. So if I have something to deliver, if I have a product to develop, I should take the ownership of that product. So if I have like some challenges while during my development and I'm dependent upon some other team to respond, so I should not be waiting for my manager to go and talk to the other team and basically like wait on other people. I should try and find ways to fix that problem and then move ahead. The idea is I know that this is the module which I'm working on. I'm responsible for that. So I basically take the ownership of that particular module which I'm working on. So I think that's highly important that you focus, that you take ownership of what you're working on. It's not about like ownership doesn't mean that you now become the manager of the product. No, it's still like owning something that you're working on. Not depending upon other people. Trying to find solutions instead of tripping about the problems, and there are solutions out there everywhere around you if you just see them. Last point, I think I've already talked about this. Learn and be curious. Yeah, if you're working abroad in an international industry, it's not just the technology that you're working on. It's not just the technical aspect of it. There's so many things, right? If you're working in a new country, you need to know how to cross a road, right? Anything that you're surrounded by, you should be able to understand how this country works, how the culture works. So learn as much as you can, because every day will give you a huge opportunity to learn. Every day is basically a learning, basically a 24 hours of learning time that life has given you. So always try to be a better version of yourself than you were today, than you were yesterday. So so try to evolve, keep growing, develop yourself technically, as well as keep also working on your personality. That is really important. Having some information and then an ability to be able to communicate, and ability to be able to present your information, to interact with people, having interpersonal skills, everything is very important, apart from just being a nerd. So don't be a nerd. Being a nerd is good when you're working on something on your laptop, but when you're not working on something, you want to have a great personality that not just only technical skills won't give you great jobs, won't earn big money for you. Having a personality is equally important. So keep learning, keep working on your personality as well as on your technical skills every day, every chance that you get. You must have seen that movie like 3 Idiots, right? So उसमें वो आमिर खान बोलता है ना कि जहाँ भी opportunity मिले, if you have a class, I want to learn. Basically मेरे लिए मौका है कुछ नया सीखने का. So you should be like that. Be curious and just have that attitude always. Never be arrogant about what you know. Always have this learning attitude, even if you know a whole lot about a product. Know more than your team members. You still have that, should have that quality of wanting to learn more, and you can learn from anyone around you, not just from your seniors. You can also learn from your juniors, from your peers. Have that attitude, man. Attitude is everything. Don't just don't be a guy who's arrogant or don't have that personality of okay, I know it all, and don't have that personality, okay, oh my god, I don't know anything about what will I do. No. So if you don't know anything today, you will know a whole lot next year if you keep learning, keep working on yourself, and keep working on the skill that you want to learn. So yeah.
Yes, Akshay, we have 2 questions. The one question is that note from being an engineer background, how should one start learning programming language, and where we have to start it?
Okay, so if you want to be a programmer, the first of all, I think most of the questions are from career planning. So let me just skip to that last slide, career planning. If you want to talk about that first, I can talk about that right now. So basically, planning. What do you want to do? What do you want to be? I would start with mentioning one thing. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, would be like, okay, I have this semester exams coming up. I have to clear, and then I'll be okay. Then I'll go and have a party and all that stuff. Like grab a couple of beers. No. So then, I mean, some of you might be thinking, okay, I just want to graduate from here and then basically like find one job which can start my career and start earning money. I want to see my money being money coming into and all that stuff, right? So this is your thinking, and we basically like think, okay, like because when I graduated and when I was selected for TCS, my first job, and I was actually thinking that I've made it. I mean, this is what the life was, and I've now reached in a position where I'm now just like complacent and keep moving, and nothing will bother me. But that I was so that's basically the beginning of your life from there. I mean, like after graduating, you basically now you have to like start working on things. You might like get money for a few weeks where you're not even working in big companies, because at times they don't even have enough work in the projects. So it's very easy to be complacent when you're working for like big industry. But the idea is, I mean, always keep working on a skill set. Always try to like keep improving your skill set and define your role. What do you want to be? I always wanted to be a software developer, but when I entered in TCS industry, a manager, a general manager, a manager above my manager came to me and he was like, actually, like, do you want to like join Qualcomm as a tester? And I was like, so I don't want to be a tester. I want to be a developer. I mean, that's what I've been working on. That's what interests me. And he said to me that, Akshay, what does that? What difference does it make being a tester or a developer? You still be working for Qualcomm, right? I mean, like, why do you wanna just be a developer? Just come in Qualcomm, work for us, and learn testing. And I was convinced. And I started working as a tester. And initial part of my career, for initial 1 year, I was working as a tester, working on something which I didn't like. And then and I was so frustrated. I mean, I was never happy. But then I was able to like transition to a different language. I was working on then Perl development at that time. I was able to move to a different career path which I always wanted to work on. But so that's why it's very important to know like what do you want to be. I mean, if you're asking this question to me, okay, how shall I start working as a programmer? Ask yourself, like, why do you want to be a programmer? Why does it interest you? I mean, do you think that you have that that X factor that to be a programmer? Do you have that logic and building ability in you? If all these answers are yes, then absolutely like go for that. And then if you want to like start your career as a software developer, just pick a language, man. I would say like if you want to like work on like web development or like so many applications, there's so many languages out there. Java, C Sharp, C++, there's so many languages. But the most popular languages are still Java, the language which is still used for a wide range of web development. C++ still used for a wide range of web development. And then we have Python, which is used for data science, artificial intelligence, and then used for DevOps, also used for web development. And then we have languages like JavaScript. So JavaScript is primarily used for front-end development. So front-end development is a huge thing in the market today. So if you know about like React or Angular, if you've heard these terms, I mean, people use these frameworks which are built on top of JavaScript for front-end development. So basically, pick your language. To make it easy for you, I will give you like 4 options. I will give you Java. I will give you C Sharp.net. Like what I think are more popular, and then Python, and then I would say JavaScript. Pick the JavaScript if you want to be a backend developer. Front-end developer. Pick Python if you want to be if you want to develop in data science, if you want to develop in cloud, if you want to develop in as a web developer. So as a web developer, backend developer, if you want to work on, you can pick Java, C Sharp, and Python. As a front-end developer, you can pick JavaScript. JavaScript has huge range, man. So what I'm working on is Python development. I'm a backend developer working on Django framework. So Django framework allows you to like build web apps in Python. So this is and Python. I can talk about Python. I mean, Python is one of the easier language to understand because of clear, easy syntaxes. So you can definitely start with Python. You can easily learn that language, and then after you have the idea of like what the language is and how you should be able to use it, then you can like start building your small projects in Python, which will help you to understand the language better. So but always like, I mean, just don't like take a book, buy a book and then just start learning a language. Usually like what people do, they'll go to they'll take a book and then start learning the few chapters like operators. How shall I use operators? How shall I use functions, if and else conditions, for loop. Don't just like stick to like all just those things. After like learning the basics of the language, you have to like start working on a project. Like you should be able to like implement that language into something which is utilized for real life, So how many of you guys like use copy Control C in your Windows? You copy the files like from one directory to another directory. Everyone use that, right? Have you ever think of like maybe like implementing that feature by yourself? Like something of your script should be able to like copy the files from one place to another. It's a very small program. It's a very small project. Like think of like these projects and then try to implement that project in your choice of language. If your choice of language is Python, you can build that. Python will allow you to build anything that you want to. It's just like, I mean, you have to like start work thinking about the real time projects that you can develop using those languages. And one more thing I want to add: if you want to be a programmer, you should know data structures and algorithms. You should absolutely know those things. Like this is the bread and butter. This is the core of cracking any big company. If you know data structure and algorithm, if I give you a question, if you're able to write an efficient code using the data structure, trust me, I mean, you will be able to crack interviews for Google, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Microsoft. What else? Yeah, like all these big companies, you'll be able to like crack all those interviews. Like and don't think that you cannot like make to these big companies. Everyone can. So always think big and just take small steps. Start working on it. Pick a language. Start try to understand like what the programming language is actually doing. And then pick your projects, start working on a project, small projects. It doesn't have to be a big project. Start understanding it and try to implement your language in real life on the daily work that you do. And then make sure that you know data structure and algorithms. You should be able to like write any program. If I give you, palindrome, you must have like heard those terms, right? But there are 100 different ways of writing a palindrome. Do you know 100 different ways? You might not, right? So, but try to figure out like what's the best way I can write a program. It's not just about writing a program. It's about how efficient your code is. It should take least memory. It should take least amount of time. That's the whole idea of which separates a normal developer and a Google developer. So if you want to be that, always focus on these things. So I hope that I answered your question. So I think that was a great question actually. I mean, because like through your question I was able to like cover this slide. The first point, when you like planning for your career, focus on the area of interest. I mean, you might not know today that what you want to be, but try to keep working on it. Try to explore your inner self. Try to explore that what interests you the most. And also, like, it's very important, like, people don't mention this thing, and nobody mentioned that to me. It's not just all about, like, okay, my area of interest could be working on language like COBOL, right? But nobody is using COBOL these days. So you don't have to pick those things which are not used in the market. So, like, try to find your area of interest. Second, research the market. The technology, the area that you picked, is it still valid? Do you have, like, jobs in the market for that? Will it be used in the next 10 years? what applications are we using this language for? Like, I mean, I picked Python, but do I know like where will Python be in the next 10 years, or like Python will be a gone language like other languages like Perl, like nobody work on those languages anymore, right? So you don't want to like spend on something which is not being utilized for the next 10-15 years, right? So make sure that you know the applications. Like I know Python has a huge future because of its application in data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence. The people are using Python day and out for like working on all these things, and this is the future. This is the present actually. Like people are using artificial intelligence, machine learning every day for every. I mean, you in fact have you used Google Home and things like voice assistant on your phone, Google Assistant or Siri if you have an iPhone. So all this basically like they basically work on machine learning models, which is basically a subset of artificial intelligence, which and they all they I mean, and Python has applications in all these ranges. So always like don't just like pick your area of interest. Always like try to visualize. I mean, is it something? Is it a right career choice? I mean, like do I see this still valid in next 10 years? I mean, you might not have an answer immediately because I mean, at that stage when I was like in third year of my graduation, I knew nothing. But if somebody would have told me at that time, actually try to visualize. I mean, I would have at least tried, you know. So I was just saying like try to figure out, even if you like figure out that what you want in the third year of your work experience in the working industry. But that's still okay. But you should have that orientation. Okay, I want to basically figure out that what interests me the most, and I want to build my career in that particular field, and that will be useful for the next 15 years. And this is what I want to do. So this is one of the most important thing like people ignore and just like keep moving in their career without thinking about the future. But this will hurt you in the later stages if you don't think about it right now, because like people are running a business out there. I mean, they're hiring you, but they're not like doing you a favor. TCS is not doing you a favor. Infosys is not doing you a favor. They're just running a business. They need you for some sort of work that they want you to like do for them. So you end up like doing some Excel sheet work for them. Do you want to do that? If you do that, even if you're like getting money for like 3 years, after 3 years, nobody will give you a job. you won't grow in your job. So that's why always keep learning on new technologies. Try to have that curiosity, because I mean it won't hurt you in the beginning of your career, but it will hurt you big time in the later stages of your career. I mean it hurt me. I mean it affected me at one point of time when I was not working on something good, and I had my own challenges. But I was able to like break the shackles, and I was able to like come through that, and then I was working. Now I'm working on something which I love, which I absolutely love. I mean, like development is something which I want to work on like day and night. I mean, something. It's not just like I do development for my for earning money. I mean, it basically interests me. So like pick something that interests you. So then the third point is basically like I mean it's self-explanatory. Work hard to find opportunities in your area of interest. I mean, if you have an area of interest in programming, work hard. Basically, don't just give up. Never give up. I mean, you will definitely find that job that you want. Keep working on your skill set, and then try to like crack those interviews. Keep working on your personality. Keep working on your skill set. Nothing is difficult, man. I'm telling you. Once you know like what's in this world, there's nothing is rocket science. Everything is simple and clear. It's just, I mean, you don't until you know everything. You know seems to be a black box. Seems to be something scary, but it's not scary. Then master what you do. So like always try to like be an expert of what you're working on. If people don't like mediocre average people, I mean, don't be a mediocre. Don't be something who's just surviving. Try to excel in what you're working on, and everybody has that skill set that they can actually be a master in their skill, in their technology. They can be a master of like what they're doing. So don't try to break that mediocre league. You don't want to be a guy who's just like another employee in lakhs of employees that TCS hires, or like these companies hire. Don't want to be another employee. Try to break that shackle and excel in what you do. And even if you're like getting 55% in your graduation today, don't feel that you are an average student, because this won't mean anything in 10 years later or even 5 years later. So just make sure that you know that what you want to do, and you should internally know that okay, I know what I want to do, and I know I'm good in that. Have that confidence, have that faith, and you'll see the returns. Then interact with people who know better. Interact with me. So always find people around you who know better, and people like Praveen sir. I mean, he teaches you. He absolutely like know a lot than I know. He's done Ph.D. I'm sure. I mean, he can definitely like share those experiences with you guys. Try to like interact with people who know better and try to gain something out of it. And also at the same time, I really want to mention that try to help other people. If you think, okay, I'm interacting with Akshay or Praveen sir today, and I get this knowledge, I don't want to share with my friend because I don't want his career to grow, and I just want to like focus on mine. That this sort of attitude will never help you. If you like keep gaining knowledge and spreading knowledge, this will make you a better person. This will make you even excel better in your field. I used to teach all the students in my branch, even in computer science when I was graduating. I used to like teach them out before exams, which helped me in getting a better understanding of what I was of my subjects, and that reflected in my examination results. I mean, I was not a regular guy who was like just making attendance in the class. I mean, I was also like working on these technologies. I was also like trying to make sure that basically I have understanding of all these subjects which I'm working on, and that really helped me. So so next is basically work on your personality. I think I've already mentioned that always like keep working on your personality. That is really important. Apart from like what you're doing career wise, skill wise, it's absolutely quintessential to work on your personality, because it's not just like what you know, it's also about that about who you are, and that is really important to have a strong persona, somebody who has a personality of a leader, somebody who can like guide other people, somebody who can who has a ever giving attitude, somebody who can communicate well, somebody who can motivate other people, and all those things that you basically maybe like you hear from a video, from any motivational video. So always like work on your personality. Before I move to the final slide I have, which is software industry experience, I would like to take questions if you have any questions.
Yes, I am really proudly share that one participant or most of participants give the feedback that your confidence, sir, and answering regarding our query are fabulous, and really this is motivation for us, and we are very enthusiastic getting the things which you elaborate in your presentation, sir. Sir, in the continuation with really Akshay, it's a really motivation for me also. It's and a very pleasure for me to have all this industry exposure sharing with all the participants as well as with me also. And we have one question. Yeah, dear. We have one question that how the growth will be ascertained in the industry environment.
How the growth will be
ascertained in the industry environment.
Okay. So let me just rephrase the question. So you want to ask that how my growth can be assured in an industry? How shall I know that I'm still growing and I'm getting better in what I do?
Really?
Is it the correct?
Yeah.
Is it the correct question?
Okay.
Yeah. So as I mentioned in my previous slide, basically you have to be you have to learn and be curious. This is the last point of the key factors to focus. So if you want to keep growing in any industry, you'll have ups and downs in your career and throughout your life, actually, not just in your career, also in a personal life. But if you like just stick to like what you want to do, or and you have this never giving up attitude, you can like pass through obstacles which might come your way, and then be able to get growing. I think it's a great question. I mean, because like something that you're working on today, if I today actually told you, okay, like work on Python and start working on start building projects. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe like 5 years down the line, Python is no more a popular language. Today it is a widely popular language. But I can just predict the future. I would not know the future, right? So it might change. But if things change, you evolve as well. So if Python is not the language anymore, try learning something else. But as long as you know your basics, as long as you know the programming basics, it's very easy to switch between languages. All the languages are basically like doing the same thing, more or less. So it's not about like the picking the right language. It's more about getting the basic of it. So you should be able to like understand like what you should have the ability of developing some software. You should know like, okay, I know how to develop, be it any language. So like always like keep involving, adding more skills to your resume. So keep growing. I mean, keep learning. I mean, even if you become a team lead in like 3 or 5 years of time, if you're working on, even if you like get an opportunity in Qualcomm or Google, never be complacent. Keep working. I mean, you guys must be watching IPL, right? I mean, if a lot of teams, I mean, they get complacent in the later stages of the tournament, right? And they eventually lose. So we have to be consistent throughout your life until you are declared victorious, until you win that championship. And like what is a life championship? There is no life championship. It's just a journey, and you have to be consistent. So the moment you get complacent, I mean, you'll face issues. Okay, and like no matter like what stage you are in, never be complacent. Keep working on yourself. It's not about the money that you're making. Money will come into picture. Absolutely. I mean, and you can definitely focus on all these other factors, but you should be able to become a better version of yourself. Okay, and whatever I was in 2019 November, and now what I am in 2020 November, have I learned more? Like, have I learned new things? Am I a better version of what I was in last year? This is like really important thing. I mean, you should always like keep working on yourself, keep growing, and keep exploring more options. As you say, sky's the limit, and so never ever stop working on yourself, and never be complacent, and this will ensure a continuous growth in your career. And again, I would also like to mention one more point. I mean, there is no guarantee to anything in life. I mean, everybody will have issues. Everybody will see some sort of downfall. Will face rejections. Everybody of us will go through something that we don't want to see. So everybody will have those issues in life. But I mean, those are the moments that will teach you the most. So try to like make the most of those moments and learn from your failures, and just chin up and move for the next assignment. Even if you're in your personal relationships, I mean, if you have like some sort of like issues, just like try to like learn from those and be better in the next relationship, or however you approach it. So it's all about I mean, like, the all things which I'm telling you, they're not like software specific, they're not telecom specific, they're not career specific, they're life specific. I mean, if you like implement these things in life, you'll see changes, you'll see big positive changes. So any other question?
Really, Akshay, it's a motivation for all the participants, and we have another one question, that what are the focused area in which we are oriented during B.Tech course as per industry requirement?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I mean, like you have to pick the industry that you want to work for. When I say industry, it's more about the role that you want to be. And if you want to be a software developer, I mean, you have to focus on programming. Definitely, you should know a language. You should be able to write data structures and algorithms. You should be able to understand like software development life cycle, like how a software is developed, and just the basics of it. And then if you want to be like, if you want to pursue in telecom industry, you should know the basics of telecom. When I say basics of telecom, it can be like as simple as like what is a wavelength, what is frequency, what is how does height of an antenna varies, so all these like basic questions. What is modulation, what is different sort of modulations, QP, SQ, QAM, like very like all these basics you should know, because all these big technologies, the mobile phone that you're using today, they are all underneath. They're all using those things. Like whatever you have, like you have been taught today in the industry. I mean, they are being used. It's not irrelevant. I mean, don't think that whatever you're studying is irrelevant. It's not. Just make sure that you focus on these areas. If you want to go in telecom industry, focus on wireless communication. To be specific, wireless communication is your area. Focus on that. You should know CDMA, GSM, LTE. You should know the architectures of these programming languages. You should know how they communicate. You should know the basic, simple what is a base station, what is an electromagnetic wave. Because this is how like all these telecom technology communicate. This is the core of it. So like you should be able to like talk about electromagnetic waves for like half an hour at least, because that's the core of telecommunication, So I mean, you should. So again, the basics. And third thing I think that you guys are using right now is electronics experience. So if you want to like move into electronics, I mean, you should absolutely know semiconductors. You should know microprocessors. You should know again, programming languages is important, because I mean, you have this embedded languages that you want to utilize. So I would say like definitely semiconductors, microprocessors, and then again software. I mean, software is highly important and appreciated in electronics industry. I mean, I'm not sure that we have a lot of jobs for electronics in India, but I mean they're there enough. So if you want to make a career in electronics, I think you will find jobs definitely, but make sure that you pursue that consistently, because a lot of companies now have started manufacturing in India. I mean, to be honest, I mean, in India, we have a lot of like service-based companies who don't develop a lot of products, especially in electronics. But I mean, all these like multinational companies now, they are also developing. They have moved their development branch in India, like Apple, like Intel. So they have branches in India who are doing the core development in electronics. So you can definitely be a part of those companies, but you have to again just make sure like focus on the basics and keep working on it, and like be persistent. That's the key. So any other questions, sir?
Yes, dear. I think we have one or two questions is there. We will take at the end of these sessions. Now you can go for the summarize the sessions as per your parts. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So the only slide which basically is remaining is software industry experience. So this is basically for those guys, excuse me, who want to pursue career in software. I mean, and also like all these points which I'm going to like talk about now will apply to any industry that you want to work on. I mean, and again, I mean, I'm saying it's not just career specific; it's life specific. So don't think, I mean, it's just for software industry. I mean, it can apply to you as well. So the first point is basically invent and simplify. So whenever you're working on something, when you're working on some software or anything that you're working on, have that mind of a inventor, have a mind of an Einstein. Try to invent things. I mean, you don't really have to like discover things or like invent things. You just need to like have that mindset where you want to fix problems. You want to come up with original solutions. That is also basically an invention. So try to invent solutions to the problems that you come across, and have that attitude, and then try to simplify that. It's having a complex problem in your head is one thing. Okay, I have an idea, but how will you actually like execute that idea? So like write it down on paper, and then simplify your thought process, and then basically implement that. So having that sort of understanding will really help you in your software development. You want to go in that. So this is software specific. So I want to my examples would be for software development, and then bias for action. So you should always have a risk-taking ability. So you cannot always play safe. If you always play safe, you might not get your desired skills, or your desired company. So or anything in general. So if you wanna like stand out, if you wanna like be at a level that you dream of, you wanna be a Sundar Pichai of a company, or if you idolize somebody and you want to be like them, all these big people that you know of, like Sunil Mittal or Mukesh Ambani or Sundar Pichai or Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, the one thing all these leaders have common is all these 6 points that you see here. I mean, they had the ability to invent, and they had the ability to take calculated risk. So when I say calculated risk, I mean, it's not just, you take blind risk. Okay, now I want to leave my job. I'm working in Google. I want to leave my job. I'll move to Maldives, and in Maldives, I'll start my own company. No, that is stupid. That is not what I'm saying. So when I say risk-taking ability, you should have a plan. And you should know, okay, I'm sure about, like, I can achieve this 40%, but there's still chances. There's still 60% chances, 50% chances it might not work, But you have that confidence. Okay, I know that I can make it work. At the end, it might not work in your favor, but you learn a lot from that. So, and if it works in your favor, you'll have a different life, So having that calculated risk-taking ability in your work or in your life, is a great quality to have. Not everyone can do that, because some people will say, okay, I cannot take that risk. And people want to play safe. They don't want to risk their jobs. People don't. People want to work in a company like TCS. Why a lot of government jobs are popular in India? Because like people think the government jobs are safe. Once you get the government job, you'll be there for like the next 30 to 40 years. Your life is secure and balle. But that sort of attitude won't take you long in life. So even if you should always have that risk-taking ability. You don't want to like just work in one company and one environment and just be comfortable. Then what will you do? What's the point of living the life? You just want to like take money and then just like go home and watch Netflix? No. The idea is to keep. You have a purpose of if you're born, right? Keep working on something. You should have like your own skill set. Be it anything. You like painting, you like dancing, you like singing. Do but explore things in that. Be a better version of yourself in those skill set. Try to contribute back to the society. If I'm working as a software developer, my dream is to like develop a product which is useful for people around me, which is useful for people back in India, back in my home. So I have that sort of thinking. Think big and keep working on yourself, because the moment you get complacent, you lose your personality. Today, you're given challenges every day. You have exams and you have to like keep working on it. So these things will basically keep you on your toes, and the best of you comes out automatically. But if you like stop working, just be complacent, you lose your personality. And I really don't want people to lose their personality, because once you lose your personality, the life is not happy. It's so like challenging your life is also a way to happiness, because when you're challenging, you are trying to bring the best out of you, and when you're the best, you are happy. When you're not the best, or when you're living below your standards, when you're living a mediocre life. I'm not saying money-wise. When you live, but when you know that you can do 100 things, but you're not doing anything today, because you're watching a movie, just enjoying like that. But this will eventually take your happiness away. So don't be in that zone. So just try to keep moving forward. What is frugality? Frugality is basically trying to gain more in minimum. So even if you have like less resources, not everyone has the same resources. Everyone has different resources. Not everyone not everyone comes from a rich background, right? Everyone comes from a different background. Everyone will have different resources. Everyone is working for studying in a different institute. Everyone will work in a different company, different resources. But try to instead of cribbing about like what you don't have, try to make the most of what you have. This sort of approach will help you in your software development a lot. A lot of times, I only had like few tools to work on. I didn't have like a lot of tools to work on, which I would need for my development. But I try to like find other solutions. Okay, if I don't have this, what can I do? Can I write a script for that? Can I do something different? There's always a solution if you try to find one. Next is insist on the highest standards. Always make sure that you focus on the highest standards. I mean, never have a mediocre thought. If you're developing something, you wanna make sure that it stands out. I mean, it's if you're writing a code, it's not just something. If I'm writing a palindrome code, I mean, it's not just something which basically addresses. Okay, if I have an input tenet, okay, the output is tenet, okay, or if I'm matching tenet, I'm checking if it's a palindrome or not. Okay, the program will say yes, it's a palindrome. Okay, I mean, millions of programmers around the world can do that. So what's the difference? The difference is the highest standards. Make sure that your code, your piece of code is of the highest quality, is well written, has least lines of code, has the maximum efficiency. If you when you move to software development, you learn to understand these things. That the code should be time efficient, should be space efficient. It's utilizing the least memory on the machine. So when you focus on all these things, your code will stand out. So always try to like focus on the highest standards. So whatever thing that you're working on, try to deliver the best. Try to do it in the best possible manner that you can do. I mean, you'll always like keep on improving, even if it's not the best quality your manager would be expecting, but eventually it will be, So just try to be the best of you. Try to deliver the best. Like don't just work for money. I mean, don't feel. I mean, it's not my work. I'm working for a company. Okay, I'll just deliver and I'll get my salary. This sort of attitude won't take you long. Try to just when you're working, just focus on the work. And because you're not just working for the company, you're working for yourself. When you work diligently, you're investing in yourself. And from like 1 year from that day, you'll be a better programmer, or you'll be a better engineer, and you'll have more demand. You'll have a better job. You'll have better salary. And that's the whole difference. At the end, it's not about the company that you're coming from. You're coming from TCS, or in the next interview, you'll be like, okay, I have a TCS experience, but eventually nobody cares about that. Even if you're coming from a company which no one knows about, but you know more, that is something which people want. People basically want other people who can do the best job for them. So try to invest in yourself. And keep your focus and try to become the best version of yourself. So always insist on the highest standards. Next is dive deep. When I say dive deep, I mean you have to like don't just like read a problem from the top or like at a superficial level. Always like try to like understand the problem. Like what I have and what I want to deliver. Think about all the aspects of it. Okay, if I implement this problem in this particular manner, what are the failure points and how can I address those? So basically, like having a 360-degree thinking attitude will actually help you stand out again among your peers. So try to dive deep in the problems that you get and try to like address all the different possibilities of your solution. So like don't just like produce a solution which can only do one thing, because like all the products, I mean, they have like multiple failure points. I mean, they have so many edge cases which if you don't address, I mean, your product will fail in production. You don't want that. You want a highest quality product. I mean, if you're using which is the best app that you like using, maybe it's Paytm, or maybe it's Healthify Me, or like some sort of like those apps. I mean, the app that you like the most, why these apps are so good? Because I mean, they are working diligently to make sure the product is of the highest quality. So, and for that, I mean, they have to address all the possible scenarios which can happen in production, and they should be able to handle those things, right? So have that vision. Okay, I mean, it's not just about like providing a solution. It's about providing an efficient solution, a solution which won't fail even if the conditions around the problem changes. The next is deliver results. You should always focus on delivering results at the end, and that is like really important. Like once you have like worked upon your program, you have to make sure it's properly pushed into production. It's without breaking anything else in the production. So you have to like follow all the CI/CD pipelines. You'll understand about those things when you like learn more about programming, continuous integration and continuous deployment. So you have to make sure like it's something which is like deliverable, and also make sure that you basically at the end you have to meet your deadlines, right? So you have to make sure, okay, you have to organize my work in a way that I'm able to like deliver this in next 2 weeks. So always be like result oriented. Okay, I wanna like deliver that and make sure that you deliver it more often than So that's the key focus that will take you to long in software industry, and not just in software industry. I would say all these principles apply for telecom industry, electronics industry, as well as in general. If you just like talk about life, yes, that is like something which is really important. So from like what we talked about, telecom industry experience. And then key factors to focus, which I basically learned over last 10 years of my experience, which we talked about, and then we talked about career planning, and then we talked about software industry experience. I think these are the most important things that we should know as of today at the stage that we are in. When I say we are, I'm talking about you guys, that the stage that you are in. You're still graduating, you're still studying, you don't have a lot of like what future holds for you, but at this time that you should be able to able to make a plan for your future, where okay, you say that I want to see myself as a software developer or as an RF engineer down the line in next 2 or 3 years. But again, those plans, what you make today, they don't have to be written in stone. मतलब पत्थर की लकीर नहीं है वो. It can change, and that's okay. That is okay. Because it takes time to basically even explore yourself. So you might not know the answer today, but try to find the answer. Eventually, you'll find the answer. Okay, this is what I interest the most, which I would like to work on in the future. And I see, it also has great prospects. A lot of industries are using that, and I want to like build my career in this. And I would like to keep working on it and keep evolving in this particular area. So try to find that and keep focusing on that. Don't think too much about small failures. Even if you don't clear an exam today, it's not the end of the road. It's not even beginning. It's nothing. This college will give you a degree that you can use for interviewing in big companies. But when you work for these companies, that is the real thing. That is what the life is. So you don't focus too much. Try to focus on the process. The results will follow. If you just try to make the understanding of what is happening, you'll be able to write better answers. So your results will also automatically improve. If you're getting whatever you're getting today, you'll be able to get even more. I was able to score. I was graduating in Kurukshetra University, so I was able to score a 90 plus in various subjects multiple times. And I was not the one who used to study a lot. I was the one who used to understand things and then write about it based upon my understanding. So I was never a copycat, never in my life. I always try to understand things and then use my understanding when I'm writing an exam. So if you sort of develop that approach, it will help you today. It will help you in life in general. So focus on that, and and then just try and be happy. Don't take your life too seriously, and don't overthink. If things are not happening today, they will happen in the future. You just have to keep working on it. So never lose hope, and never also get too complacent. So even if you're the topper in a class today, don't be complacent, because you have a long journey ahead, man, and you have to rock every milestone that comes your way. So I think that's something that you have to keep focusing on. I think that's all I had in my presentation. So if you have any questions, again, I would be happy to answer. Let me know, guys.
Really, Akshay, on the behalf of all the participants, please accept a big round of applause for you. And really, your each word and all the summarized point regarding industry environment play an important role for their career development. Now we have one question because it will more than 1.5 hours. So how is your learning experience in the abroad as per work culture and different assignments? And I also request that if you give some inputs regarding United States where you complete your more than 10 years.
Yeah, sure. So my journey has been has been a roller coaster, right? So I mentioned, I've always wanted to be a developer, but initially when I started working for TCS, I was given a testing project. So which I was not really enjoying. I was working on as a manual tester, but it didn't interest me a lot. So I moved to Perl development. So I was working for Qualcomm at that time through TCS, and then I worked in Perl development for 2 to 3 years with Qualcomm, where I was using the other technologies like shell scripting in Linux, and then Perl development, as I mentioned, and then I was using a lot of SQL, using a lot of technologies like EVDO and CDM and LTE at that time. So working on all these things, but again, I was not entirely satisfied because I really wanted to work as a web developer, which I didn't get a chance yet. But I still gained a lot of market knowledge, a lot of product experience, a lot of industry experience. I was gaining through all these ventures, So I was working with Qualcomm for 3 years, and during that time, I was initially working with Qualcomm through TCS. Then I was working directly with the client in San Diego, USA. I moved to USA in 2013. And I basically was working with TCS. So TCS basically found me a project abroad. So they got me the visa, and through TCS I was able to move to a different country and got this opportunity to work for these big companies. Then I moved to COMCAST. Again, I was working in a different location in USA, which was in Denver. So at that time, I was working on data analysis, data visualization. I was using Python as my language. Then I moved to a different state again, which is Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm working. I was working there as a Python developer, and working doing this web development. Can you see? I always wanted that job where I wanted to be able to build applications from scratch, but I didn't get an opportunity until I moved to Western Alliance Bank. So but I had to wait for a long time because I didn't have clarity from the beginning. I have this clarity today, which I'm able to share, but I didn't have that clarity 10 years ago, and I wished I had a mentor at that time who could just guide me through the process of life. I would have done things differently. I would have maybe achieved way more things, but no regrets. Whenever you learn, you can grow from there, and I still want to grow and keep growing until till the last breath of my life. It's not about I have something to prove. It's all about I just have the passion about living. And when I say working, it's not stop living. And when I'm not working, I enjoy my time a lot. I do all sort of things. I do sports. I do watch shows on Netflix, Amazon. But that's your free time. Don't make your prime time job. Don't make Mirzapur your prime time job, man. So you have to just have that right balance. Okay, when I'm enjoying, when I'm having a leisure time, okay, do that. When I want to play football, cricket, do that. But you should have the correct balance. Okay, this is my work life, this is my passion, this is my leisure time where I'm watching things, this is my hobby where I'm maybe playing a guitar. So do everything in your life. Nothing is stopping you. But the idea is to have that right balance. If you overdo things, things go wrong. So don't just try to stay away from those things. And then after Western Alliance Bank, working for them for 4 to 5 years as a Python developer, I'm now working with T-Mobile. For them, I'm working as a Python developer again, working on data visualizations, data science here, and working with a lot of big data, and then computing insights out of them, and then using those insights to plot dashboards and be able to visualize that. So I've been working with T-Mobile for last 1 year now. I don't know what my future holds for me. I don't have big time plans, but I do know that what I want to add to my skill set as of now. So right now I'm working on adding other skill sets like machine learning and artificial intelligence. I want to work in these areas going forward because it also connects to my field. Don't just like pick any area that you will hear 100 words around you. People will say, oh, okay, this is like very popular. Start working on this. Don't be distracted from the path that you are following. Stick to that, and if you want to evolve, try to grow in the same direction. Don't lose your path. So if I pick those technologies I want to learn, they're related to my area, so it should be connected. And even if it's not connected, that's okay. But make sure that if I'm trying to make use of those skills, it should be related. But if I just want to learn, I'm just curious, that's a different story. You can definitely read books and it will be knowledge in other sectors. But when we're talking about a career path, try to find technologies which are connected to your field and which you think that can help me in the future, and that will come with a lot of interaction with people, with a lot of googling, with a lot of market research. That how can I be better in what I do, and how can I maybe how can I make more money in whatever skill set I'm working on right now. So if I'm working on Python right now, maybe adding things like machine learning, artificial intelligence will help me in my career. So just try to focus on yourself. Don't try to focus on salary digits. Don't be bothered about that. It's all about if you keep working on the process, money will follow you. You don't have to follow the money. You don't have to think about that. It will just come your way. I'm telling you. So don't be too much tense about that. It might not come right away, but eventually it will if you just follow the process. So just focus on the process. The question was how was my journey? So this was my journey. I always worked in software engineering, worked in different aspects of it. Initially as a software engineer, then I also worked in infrastructure, in architecture development, and then as a web developer. And now I'm working using those skills in data science.
Really, Akshay?
Any other questions?
Yeah. Really, Akshay, it's I think so. It is more than 90 minutes, and we are very grateful to you, dear, for giving your precious time and aware all the participants regarding your rich industry experience. And really, it's a proud and pleasure moment for me also that you accept my invitations and giving a great career development for all my students as well as for all my participants. So thank you, dear.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking time to listen to me. And